This is the mission history for the first week of August from Pastor James Hwang. Today, we're diving into the incredible story of Baengnyeongdo, a remote Korean island. We're going to see how a single seed of faith, a seed planted right in the middle of a tragedy, actually grew into a legacy that now defines the entire community. It's an amazing story.
So you're probably wondering, how did this all unfold? Well, this timeline right here lays out the whole journey. And what's wild is that it all kicks off with this violent and honestly what looked like a completely failed mission way back in 1866. But it ends over 100 years later with a museum dedicated to preserving this powerful spiritual heritage. So let's dig into the key moment.
Okay, so our story doesn't start with a big celebration. No, it begins with a pretty tragic prologue. And it's just a powerful reminder, that sometimes the most profound beginnings, well, they're disguised as endings.
So back in 1866, you've got Reverend Thomas sailing right past Baengnyeongdo Island, heading for Pyongyang. But his ship, the General Sherman, runs aground. This leads to a massive conflict, and tragically it ends with him being martyred. I mean, by all accounts, it was a total failure, a disaster. But here's the thing. What nobody knew at the time was that a single seed, just a tiny seed of an idea had been planted. And it would just lie dormant, waiting to sprout decades later.
All right, now let's fast forward almost 30 years. That seed we talked about, it's been lying dormant this whole time. But then, the real catalyst for change finally emerges. And what's so crucial to understand here is that this change wasn't going to come from another foreign missionary. No, this time it came from right inside the local community itself.
So in 1891, we meet two local guys, Hyo-duk and Kim Sung-jin. These two are the ones who become the absolute pivotal figures in this whole story. Hyo-duk, he was a pretty progressive government official, already open to new ideas, and he was about to have an experience that would completely change not just his life, but the entire history of the island.
The big turning point, it happens during the Donghak Peasant Revolution. Now, Hyo-duk was a soldier, right? So he's expecting to walk into conflict, into a war zone. But when he gets to a place called Sore Church, he sees something that just stops him dead in his tracks. Government soldiers and peasant rebels. I mean, these guys were sworn enemies, and they were living together, peacefully, all taking refuge inside the church walls. Can you even imagine? In this quote, it just perfectly captures that exact moment of inspiration. See, for him, this wasn't about some complicated theology. It was a deeply personal, profound experience. Seeing peace in a place where there should have been war, it gave Hyo-duk this unshakable conviction. He just knew, right then and there, that he had to bring that same transformative power back home.
So, with this powerful new mission, this vow, Hyo-duk and his partner Kim Sung-jin head back to Baengnyeongdo. They are absolutely determined to turn this incredible vision into a reality.
But here's the thing. They didn't just go it alone. First, and this is key, they got their community on board. Then, they went and sought guidance from the very same church that inspired Hyo-duk in the first place, Sore Church. They started out super humbly, holding their first service in a little village school. But with everyone from the village pitching in, they quickly outgrew that space.
And this right here just perfectly captures that spirit of cooperation that was fueling this whole movement. The Sore Church didn't just give them advice. They actually gifted them leftover building materials. So this simple little thatched roof chapel, it was literally built on a foundation of faith and fellowship. Just amazing. So what was the long-term impact of this small local effort? I mean, what happened to this tiny little chapel built from scraps? Well, the results? They're absolutely staggering. Get this. Today, an incredible 85% of the population on Baengnyeongdo identifies as Christian. 85%. That tiny little seed of conviction, planted by Hyo-duk all those years ago, it grew to define the entire spiritual landscape of the island. So what exactly is the legacy of that one church? Well, it became known as the mother church for the entire island. It grew and sparked a whole community of 13 churches. Its story even inspired the creation of the Christian History Museum, which really cemented the island's reputation as the gateway of Korean Christianity. And most importantly, it preserves the history of those early local pioneers. And all this leaves us with a really powerful question to think about. See, the story of Baengnyeongdo, it isn't just about one church. It's a testament, really, to how the deep conviction of just a couple of people, moved by a simple image of peace, can create a ripple effect that shapes the identity of an entire community for generations, for centuries to come. Pastor James Hwang, who served as a missionary in China and now serves in Maryland, USA, is a researcher of Korean mission history. He shares from his book, Remember and Repay, 52 Weeks of Mission Meditation, every week.